Welcome to A Good Life with Soul Haven, presented by Gregg, Samuel Yisrael, and Natasha, the loving chef.
Welcome to A Good Life at Soul Haven with myself, Gregg, and Natasha, the loving chef. Hello, Natasha.
Hi, Chris. Great to be seeing you again.
Yes, and today you are live from Soul Haven. So you're in your yurt. And for those of you watching on the video, you can see Natasha in a beautiful yurt there with the sunlight streaming in. We've got some fairy lights in the background, lots of sort of like bamboo canes and stuff. It all looks very lovely. So yeah, I'm very, very envious that you're there out in the garden in the sunshine on this lovely day. So thank you very much for joining me.
That's an absolute pleasure. And yes, welcome to the beautiful yurt. She really does do us proud. It's a traditional Mongolian yurt. It has been adapted for the UK because obviously we get wet weather with things. But yeah, it's lovely to sit in her. She's cool in this beautiful sunshine. She's warm in the winter. And it's just a phenomenal space to be in.
Yeah, looks gorgeous. So we're going to do all the usual stuff today. We don't have Samuel with us, but we've got all the usual packed load of useful information, recipes. We're going to be learning about quinoa and beetroot flatbreads today, which I'm looking forward to. So yeah, we'll be seeing those as well. A garden update with the amazing Nasturtiums, and also learning about how food affects your mood. But to get us going, could you introduce me to Soul Haven and explain what it's all about?
Yes, certainly. So Soul Haven, we're based in Malton, just outside Northampton. We offer award-winning community space to explore the seasons, the nature, but also the nature within ourselves as well. So we offer a wide variety of courses, workshops, a place to be heard, and also time to be able to understand ourselves as an individual better as well. So yes, our mission is to build sustainable people so they can become healthier and happier. Amazing.
So we're going to get going with talking about food, which is your kind of speciality as the loving chef. And I think food is very important, particularly with your mental health, and that's something that we're going to talk about today. Mind disrupting foods. And how they affect mental health in a positive and in a negative way, mainly in the negative way, really, because there's a lot of things to watch out for in foods that can really affect you with various different mental health issues like anxiety, depression, ADHD and brain fog. Tell me a little bit about how food actually affects your mood and your mental health.
Yeah, now this is an absolutely huge subject. We're never going to fit it all in today, but it's something that I want to bring to the table moving forward as well, little snippets around food. As many of you know, food is my absolute passion. I've dealt with food from a very, very young age, but I also realised that food actually can affect our mood. What goes in actually has an effect on how we present ourselves, how our mood is, whether we have the brain fog, the slowness, the sluggishness and things. It really does make a big difference because, of course, as we eat with our mouths, we're actually nurturing our internal garden within ourselves as well. So yeah, lots and lots of different things. It doesn't just have an influence on our energy and our mood, but it is a powerful development and management of mental health as well. So yeah, so what goes in has an outcome along the way.
Okay, so what are some of the effects that food can have? Blood and sugar balance, I guess, is quite an important part of this whole story.
Yeah, absolutely. So disrupting foods, I've got a long list. Let's see how many I get through. But blood sugar imbalance. What happens? Foods with high content of refined sugar and simple carbs, things like white bread, sweets, candies, pasta, anything with a high sugar content, high sugar sodas and things, they have a huge impact and they give us a rapid spike of blood sugar insulin But what happens is it brings us up really high, and then we have a really bad crash afterwards, and then we crave it again, and we want more sugar to help us along the way. So yeah, it really is amazing how our brain wants and needs regular glucose levels to function well, rather than the lows and the highs of everything. So yeah, so that's blood sugar imbalances. And sugar, obviously, and sugar is found in everything, like tins of baked beans, sausages. I learned the other day that sausages contain sugar.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's these ultra processed foods though. They pack them full of sugar and salt and bad things because it makes you enjoy them, and then you want more of them, but it's not doing your body any good at all. And like you say, all of that white bread and things that we know are not great for us, but this is how it's actually having a tangible impact on our health, on the way that the body works.
Yeah, absolutely. I know there was a time, if I'm allowed to say it, there was a fast food chain, and they have to put a slice of gherkin into their burgers to allow them to call it a savoury burger, because the sugar content of that particular burger was so high it was actually classed as a dessert. So if you take the slice of gherkin out, guess what, you're actually eating a dessert, even though it's the meat pate, the lettuce, the tomatoes, the cucumber, and the little bit of dressing that goes on there. So yeah, so it's really interesting where sugar can be found without us even knowing about it.
Amazing. And also different foods can affect the way that your gut works, and the disrupting the connection between your digestion and your brain.
Yeah, absolutely. Things like artificial sweeteners, processed foods, alcohol, and high junk food can damage our beautiful flowers and our beautiful internal garden as well. Yeah, and poor gut obviously lowers the serotonin production, and then there's a higher risk of depression, anxiety, ADHD, and all the labels of the world that we walk around in. So yeah, so what goes in feeds our internal garden, and whether it's full of weeds or whether it's full of beautiful blossoms is really up to us.
And apparently some food can also cause your brain to get inflamed, and parts of your body as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So things like processed meat, trans fats, excessive amount of dairy, sugar, obviously we've talked about that, can trigger chronic low-grade inflammation in our body. So I know when I was having a lot of inflammation in my body, my knees swelled, my hips swelled, my feet swelled, I really had to take a look at what was going into my mouth and how that was all digested as well. So yeah, so inflammation is now linked with a higher risk of depression. It brings brain fog. It also brings fatigue as well. So looking to see what goes in, because the brain is a really sensitive part of our bodies that we only ever use 5% consciously with that. So yeah, the brain is an important part of things, but
very important, the brain. It's hard to manage without one.
It certainly is, but the monkey mind can come in, all the little chat that we don't actually want to hear, the negativity. And again, that's because it's been fed with ultra processed foods and things that aren't great for us along the way. And same with nutrition. Highly processed foods are often calorie rich but nutrition poor, lacking in the vitamins and the minerals that also support the brain along the way. Vitamin B's, magnesium, omega-3, zinc, iron, there is loads on that list. But, alcohol deprives us of vitamin B's and magnesium, and that can cause irritability. It can cause fatigue and also poor sleep as well, because the brain is going tick, 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 tick all the time as well. So, yeah, it's very interesting once I dive deep, or once everybody dives deep into actually what's going in the mouth.
And that's an awful combination, being really tired and not being able to sleep at the same time. And I guess not having enough vitamins, it's easy to grab the vitamin tablets, but actually good nutrition is the real answer, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely it is. You know, nutrition is really, really important for us. It can help feed our neurotransmitter interference as well. So yes, so substances like coffee, caffeine. Now, you can find caffeine not just in a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. You've got the energy drinks. You have caffeine in certain painkillers or pain relief medication. There's quite a lot of caffeine in certain types of chocolate as well. So yeah, artificial additives can also interfere with the brains. It's really like trying to balance our serotonin and our dopamine. Otherwise, we mood swing. Now, I know if I've had something that isn't so great for me, I crave it, but also I get the mood swings and I get quite hangry because I'm craving that more and more thing of the addiction of the caffeine, the sugar, the low nutrition, the processed food and things, because my brain is searching for the serotonin and the dopamine. So being more mindful about what goes in is really important, you know. And also the food that we eat can help us or not help us sleep, because of course we're having to digest it. Sugar, caffeine, alcohol, heavy fats. Now, if you're like me, I do like chip shop chips, but I know directly after chip shop chips, I want to sit on the sofa and have a 40-minute kip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just feel really heavy afterwards and bloated and just exhausted.
Yeah.
And but they're so tasty, you're right. But I'm the same with certain pizzas. So fast food pizza, where it's got really thick crust, if I eat too much of that, I'm paralyzed with indigestion a good few hours afterwards. So it can really affect you.
It definitely does. I mean, if you think how much you eat, let's say on a Christmas dinner or a large roast dinner, so your Christmas dinner with all the turkey, the sausage, whatever it is that you eat, the cauliflower cheese, roast potatoes, mashed potatoes and things, and then you have the Christmas Day slump of, I'll just sit here and wait for, I don't know, the King's speech, and you have a 40-minute little snooze and you're feeling sluggish. That is because of everything that you've just eaten inside, and your body's having to work overdrive to digest it, and it's going, no, I don't want any more with things. So yeah, food is and we can get quite sensitive to food that we also eat as well. I know that now I'm sensitive to a lot of preservatives. There's certain artificial sweeteners that has a reaction with my body. So let's take aspartame for a moment. Aspartame is found in multiple products out there on the supermarket shelves. I get very hyperactive with it. It feels like I've had 2 bottles of wine and it's chat about nothingness.
Sounds like this podcast.
Yeah. With things, yeah. But then also it affects my skin, it affects my brain fog and things. So yeah, artificial sweeteners out there really don't help the mood and the mental health side of things. So it is really interesting what goes on.
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
Also, food that goes in can also have a hormonal imbalance. Again, foods with high sugars, bad fats can affect the insulin and cortisol. Cortisol is the stress hormone. So it disrupts the levels of everything, and even estrogen imbalances. Hormonal swings often contribute to irritability, anxiety, and even depression and depression symptoms along the way as well. So, in short, just as a roundup, as a whole thing with that, these kind of foods can disrupt and imbalance, internal imbalance within, whether it's spiking blood sugars, depleting nutrition, triggering inflammation, or interfering with your internal garden and your brain chemistry. And the result is our mood, our energy, and clarity of what that happens along the way. So yes.
Well, we're going to find out a little bit more about specific foods that you need to watch out for to make sure you're maintaining your mental health shortly here on A Good Life at Soulhaven. So we're talking to Natasha, the Loving Chef, about foods that can affect mental health. What are some of the foods that we should watch out for that can be kryptonite to our good mood?
Okay, so I'm just going to list them off here. So
rattle them off here.
Rattle them off. Refined sugar, cakes, biscuits, cereals, fizzy drinks, low-fat snacks. Low-fat snacks have a really high percentage of sugar. So it's low in fat, high in sugar, and that's why we want more and more. Processed and packaging foods, crisps, Pringles. I know for a fact that if I open a tin of Pringles, it never stops until I've finished.
Well, they say that in the ads, don't they? They make a big thing of it. It's not positive, because that's a big old tube. That's a lot of crisps.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I am guilty. I will admit I am guilty of eating the whole tube because I can't stop.
You just got to not buy them. This is the answer. And just buy the cheap supermarket crisps that aren't as nice, and then you're not motivated to eat so many because they just start tasting unpleasant after you've eaten half a packet.
Yeah, definitely.
That's my tip.
Gosh, what else have I got on my list? Caffeine. Obviously, we've talked about caffeine.
Yeah, do you know, I cut out caffeine at Christmas and I feel so much better.
Oh, do you?
Because I drink so much Coke, and I know it's still not good for you, but at least it's the caffeine-free version. So, you know, it's better because you don't have those highs and lows of exhaustion and not tired anymore. I'm just consistently slightly knackered. So that's better, I think. What else?
What else? Carbohydrates. Now, some people do ask me, what are carbohydrates? Carbohydrates really are found in a lot of things, from white bread, pasta, rice, white rice, particularly. So try and change to whole grain. Don't eat so much bread. Sourdough bread is better for you than the white bread and things. So yeah, try and change from white rice, brown rice. Quinoa. Now we're going to be looking into quinoa and doing something with a recipe with quinoa later. So yes, I think I've talked about everything else along there. Obviously salt, artificial sweeteners we've already touched upon.
Dairy can affect some people, can't it? I think there's a lot of people don't realise that they have that that intolerance to lactose. That a lot of people do have that now in the modern world, and you might not realise, but you might be getting some of the effects of that without realising that that's what it is, because it's hard to avoid dairy unless you're a vegan.
Yeah, but you would be amazed how many products have dairy in it. Absolutely. Even things like, God, obviously you're talking about bread, you're talking about chocolates, you're talking about crisps. A certain amount of crisps have dairy in it, even though they could be any other flavour than cheese and onion flavour. So your beef steak, your Marmite. I can't name all of the crisp flavours.
That's a whole different show.
Yeah.
Worcester sauce. I'd love a bit of Worcester sauce.
Yeah. It's got dairy in it, though. Yeah.
That surprises me.
Yeah, absolutely. So be mindful of how much dairy you're putting in, because it stresses the digestive system. It's quite hard to digest within the stomach, then that causes inflammation as well. But it also has, the more the body has, the harder the body has to work by digesting the food, has an increase of how we feel in our mood and our mental health. So if it's really easy to digest, the happier and healthier we are. The harder to digest it is, and it stays in our body for longer, the less likely we are to be happy, or we have little bouts of depression, anxiety, and mental health concerns along that way. So yes.
And that's just a simple connection. It's so easy to remember that, because you know when you're struggling to digest something, you feel sluggish and you don't feel great, and you know that it's because of what you've eaten. But I think a lot of people aren't really bringing that to the front of their mind when they're deciding what to eat, but trying to think about it before you've had that food that's made you feel awful is the trick.
Yeah, definitely. Become an observer of oneself, of what goes in, and also if you have had something like your pizza or your roast dinner and things, become an observer of yourself, of how you feel afterwards. And when it's like principle number 1, become an observer of oneself and really sit with it. How do you feel afterwards? Did it make you feel happy, but then did you slump? Do you want more because you're craving the serotonin and the dopamine and things? It's a really interesting journey to go down.
It really is. You're listening to Good Life at Soulhaven, and we're talking with Natasha, the Loving Chef, live from Soulhaven today on the show, and you are literally in the garden. So I think this is the time to find out what's going on outside the yurt in the garden at this sort of time of year. We've had a couple of gorgeous days of weather this week. I guess the sunshine is making everything really bloom and blossom, and probably dry out a little bit in the garden, but you know, it needs to be tended.
It certainly does. We're having some beautiful days at the moment, which we absolutely love. The vitamin D helps us. Everybody's walking around a lot happier, a lot more joyful within themselves, and I love the sunshine, but I have to say it also helps the weeds in the garden grow. Yeah, amongst everything else, but yeah, definitely the weeds, the bindweed. Oh my gosh, we've got ground elder that's absolutely bloomed into different areas of the garden that we didn't even know it existed along the way. But the seedlings love it. All of our vegetables absolutely love it. So yes, gosh, what have we got going on? We've got cauliflowers. That's going on. The little beetroot seedlings that we planted a couple of weeks ago are now 3 inches high already.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's amazing. Gosh, what else? Courgettes. Courgettes have gone in. Cucumbers have gone in. And again, they only took 2 days to germinate.
Wow.
Whereas normally it's about a 6 to 8 day cycle before they actually pop their little heads out the earth and go.
I couldn't wait. They're straight up there.
Yeah, definitely not. But I wanted to share today a little bit. I have a lot of favourites in the garden. I really do. But nasturtiums are so versatile and diverse within the garden and in the kitchen as well. So for those of you who can see, we've got nasturtiums, and we're going to talk about nasturtiums today.
Okay. So you might not know that that's a nasturtium, but you will recognise that leaf. Very distinctive kind of shape to it, and the flowers are so pretty.
Yeah, definitely. And they're lovely. They really are a lovely, lovely plant. Everything on a nasturtium apart from the root is edible. The leaves, the flowers, the seeds, they're all really edible. So I do a lot of decoration with the nasturtium flowers inside of the kitchen. And yeah, it's just amazing what happens. So the leaves taste a little bit peppery, like watercress.
Okay.
You can chop them up, eat them raw. Put them in salads. I stir fry mine. I put them in pastas. Yeah, they're just really, really
Are they one of these plants that just keeps growing permanently, or does it turn to seed and then it grows again the next year? I don't know what the name is for that.
Yeah,
Perennial.
Yeah. So yeah, nasturtiums you have to seed every single year. So we gather the seeds, and the seeds form So the seeds form like seed heads. Now the seed heads are edible as well, so it's like a poor man's caper, so you can pickle them. But nasturtiums are abundant with seeds once they've gone over. It's very, very quick to grow as well. So we planted some nasturtium seeds probably about 4 weeks ago, and we've already got flowers and leaves on it.
Oh, wow.
And we're picking it and harvesting it and eating it already. So yeah, it's a really good little...
So as you're eating it, is it going to keep growing for the rest of the year so you don't have to worry about not leaving enough to create the seeds for next year?
Yeah, absolutely. The more you pick it and the more you dehead it, the more and more it grows.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. And it's like my little ray of sunshine, you know, these beautiful bright orange, yellowy flowers that come out from sunrise to sunset. It's really, really good. Really, really good.
Excellent.
They're rich in vitamin C as
Okay.
well. So that helps boost your immune system. Antibacterial and antiseptic. So they're helpful for your respiratory system. And if you have a bladder infection or a UTI, you can quite easily just pop a flower or some leaves into hot water and make a nasturtium tea. Or you can chop it up, like I said, in salads and things. So yeah, it's really good to help detox UTIs.
Good. And tasty as well. So, try it in your salads, and you can make pesto from it, can't you?
Oh, gosh, yes. I forgot about pesto. Yes. Thank you for that reminder. So yeah,
I love pesto.
I love pesto. Yeah. Yes, so literally pick off the leaves, wash them, mix them up with pine nuts. If you're a cheese eater, then obviously your cheese. Stick some lovely fresh basil in there. If you're not a cheese eater, I make my pestos with nutritional yeast. Stick it in the fridge, stick it in the freezer, and you've got it for all year round. Definitely.
Yum.
At the moment. I made a batch the other day with wild garlic in there as well. Our forest garden at the other end of the garden is an abundance of wild garlic at the moment. Yes. Perhaps we'll talk about that next time I see you.
And what are some of the benefits in the garden of growing nasturtiums? How can it help with your garden's ecosystem?
Yep, so it attracts the bees and the pollinators, it attracts the butterflies and the wildlife out there. It also acts as a companion planter as well, so it repels the aphids and all the other little pesties that goes on. So we tend to grow the nasturtiums around lettuces or the leaf-free brassicas like your cauliflower, your broccoli, your red cabbage and things, because they love the little orange flowers. So yeah, it distracts from the actual main crop that goes on. And they're quite hardy. They will survive the aphids chomping away and having their 3-course menu with them. And they will just reproduce and flowers after flowers after flowers. So yeah, it's an all-rounder, so diverse and very, very easy to grow.
And great to bring those little butterflies and bees into the garden, because that's what brings it to life, doesn't it?
Yeah, we love the little butterflies. Yeah.
Lovely. Okay, so that sounds good. Get your nasturtiums and see what you can create with it. You're listening to A Good Life at Soulhaven with Chris and Natasha, the Loving Chef, live from the yurt today, out in the sunshine. I'm very envious. I need to get some more fresh air. And we've got our recipe of the week now, and we're going to learn how to make flatbreads from quinoa and beetroot. So, how's this work?
Okay, so quinoa. Obviously, quinoa is a really good grain. It can be grown here in the UK. Quinoa has less carbohydrates than rice. It has less carbohydrates than potatoes and things, and it's a really easy thing to cook. You can cook it multiple ways, but today I am cooking it with beetroot. So
Okay.
Let me have a look at these. Let me share these. I hope you can see how beautiful they are.
Oh, it looks like a big
Yeah.
cookie on the screen, but it's bread.
Yeah, it's red. It is definitely beetroot colour. There are a few holes in it where I've cooked it, but that's fine. But they're very flexible, almost like a flatbread or a tortilla that you would have with your burritos or something like that. Or I fill it up with a lot of salad, hummus, fresh avocado, and I make my own wraps. And then that's a really good thing to have.
Oh, that looks amazing. And does it have a flavour to it?
Yes, it's very, very earthy because of the beetroot that's in there, these ones. But it's earthy with undertones, so undertones of... how do I describe those undertones? That's a really
I think
good
people
question.
expect beetroot to taste a certain way if they've only had pickled beetroot and they're not familiar with how actual beetroot tastes. And it's a bit different, isn't it?
Yes, very different.
So that earthy flavour is coming from the natural beetroot. And then I guess the
from the
quinoa
natural
brings different elements to it as well.
Yeah, definitely. The quinoa doesn't have too much flavour, but it gives the texture into the flatbreads. Almost like the graininess of flour into the flatbreads. Yeah, so I've used unpickled beetroot for this. I've used raw beetroot. So let's take a cup of quinoa, soak it overnight, or at least for 6 hours. And then once it's soaked, you can strain it, rinse it, add it to a high-speed blender, peel a small small beetroot, peel it out raw, put it into your high speed. Gosh, I can't get my S's out today. My high speed blender.
You're too chilled in your yurt there. It's still laid back.
Oh yeah. Add a little pinch of salt. Add about 3/4 of a cup of water to it. Blend it all up to form a batter. And then literally just fry it in a non-stick frying pan. And you can make them whatever size you want. So I do
You have
larger
to
ones.
flip it over like a pancake halfway through.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. And I was making these this morning, actually, just so as a previous little example. And my little learning there was patience. I have a lot of, I want to get it done quickly because obviously timescales. I want to make sure that I've got something to show everybody and things. And I was flipping them over far too early. And then they were like all mashing down and things. So yeah, so a little bit of a learning and a little bit of a teaching for me today. Patience is a virtue.
You've got to get the balance, haven't you? Because if you leave it too late, then they're going to burn. So it's very hard to know what's going on the underside of the frying pan. So, just give it a go and see. You can always cook it a bit longer, can't you?
Yeah,
So-
definitely. You tend to know when it is cooked. Well, no, you tend to know when it is ready to flip over because there's like little air bubbles. Like the visual of a crumpet. They look like that. And then
Okay.
that's a good indicator that the flatbread is ready to turn over and fry the other side.
So, air bubbles, good sign. Black smoke, bad sign.
Yeah.
Somewhere in between those 2 points, flip it over. I usually just get to like the hint of a little bit of black smoke, and I'm like, right, it's ready to go.
Yep.
It's probably not good to have that extra barbecue-y kind of flavour to your flatbreads.
No.
So is this one in your recipe book?
Sadly, no. This one isn't in my recipe book. It's something quite new that I've tried, but you will be able to find the recipe obviously on the blog, and I'll also put it onto my Facebook page as well, Natasha, the Loving Chef, on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram if I can get it on Instagram. Social media is not my forte, I have to say. But it's up and about everywhere to
Brilliant.
do. Then obviously if you can't find it, then do contact us.
Yeah, and let us know what you've done with your quinoa and beetroot flatbreads and how you found it, because I think it's what I love about these recipes is the things that you would never even think of if you hadn't had it suggested to you, but sounds amazing. So once again, one that I'm going to give a go to. So definitely have a look at that.
Yeah, and it's also really good for budget wise as well. I mean, quinoa is quite a cheap product. Fresh beetroot, especially if you're growing it, is obviously free apart from your time. But you'll find fresh beetroot in your supermarkets. Any regular supermarket, you'll have bunches of fresh beetroot along the way, and they're not expensive. So yeah, you can make quite a lot of flatbreads for your 1 cup of quinoa and your 1 small to medium beetroot and water and salt. So yeah, but it's nutritious.
That sounds good. Okay, you're listening to A Good Life at Soulhaven, and we've covered a lot of ground today. We've talked recipes, we talked about the garden, and all of the great stuff with nasturtiums. But it's time now to do our card picking for the week ahead, and we're going to have to do this remotely because you're in your yurt and I'm not. But you've got those beautiful cards there with you, so I think you're going to have to pick the card for this week.
I'll have to pick a card for this week. Okay, I'm going to give them a quick shuffle. So yes.
Shuffle away.
Our 71, 72 beautiful cards. Oh, okay. It has to be the one that's fallen
it's come
out.
on. You're like a magician. The card has erupted from the deck on its own.
It's like, pick me. Yeah.
Okay, what have we got? Acceptance.
We have got acceptance.
Okay.
So yes. So what does that mean to you, Chris?
I don't know. I guess it's about that difficult point where you know something is true, but you're struggling to actually accept the fact. And sometimes it does take a little while before self-evident truths can be something that you can believe in, even though you know it's true. I think there's a gap sometimes between your brain knowing it and in your heart accepting the fact. And this can be, I don't know, bereavement, or it can be when a relationship's not working out, or when you're changing jobs, or something that maybe you're running a business and it's not working out for you. Just anything that is really important to you that it's a struggle to let go of, but really there's no other option. And sometimes you've got to reach a point, I think, where you've got no choice but to accept the fact. But I'm very much of the opposite mindset of just don't give up with stuff and fight for it. And sometimes the reason things have gone well for me in life is because I haven't given up and accepted failure. I just kept ploughing through, and eventually things do work out. But I think it is a healthy thing to know when it's time to accept a situation and move on.
Yeah, and that's very beautifully said, Chris. You know, there are so many different things that we have to accept in our lives, and once it's accepted, yes, we can then step forward with things. Acceptance for me brings up a thought about having to, or wanting to, or needing to also accept ourselves for who we are along the way. So many of us compare ourselves to different people. I need to look like this, I need to speak like that, I need to do this, I need to do that, whereas actually we really are our true authentic selves, and we are very unique. We've all got a gift, all gifts, and sometimes we don't accept those unique gifts in ourselves because we're trying to conform to society and what we should look like, feel like, say like, and things. So I'm going to say accepting one's true authentic self with our imperfections as well as our perfections along the way as well. So yes, good card to pull.
Yeah, and I think accepting other people as well is important, and sometimes just not trying to change people and accepting them for who they are, and celebrating the things that make them unique, rather than, you know, like in a relationship where the things that attract you to someone become the most annoying things about them after a while, and sometimes you've just got to love those things about the person again, and accept them for who they are, and not try and change them, I think.
Yeah, and that's very beautiful to think about that. You know, yeah, accept everyone as a unique person, flaws and all, because what we expect one person to be, and who are we to change somebody just to meet our own expectations?
Yeah, and also accepting the fact that not everyone's going to agree with you or accept facts. Like, it can get really frustrating when somebody's got a different opinion and you know they're wrong, and they just won't accept it. And just sometimes agreeing to differ is a benefit, and that's how you can be friends with somebody who's got completely different views, but accepting the fact that you both see the world in a different way means that you can enjoy the other parts of that person.
Yeah. Good card for us to ponder on for the week.
Yeah, that's good. It's always so insightful what comes out. So yeah, that's good. You're listening to Good Life at Soul Haven, and we're almost at the end of this episode, and I guess this is the time of the year where there's lots going on at Soul Haven. There's lots of events and opportunities for you to come and get involved, and I think this has been great to see the inside of the yurt, but really, if you want to see it for yourself, there's so much more to discover. Just to get down there and join in with one of the groups or the sessions and things that are going on.
Yeah, we'd love to welcome anybody who would like to come, whether that's through our monthly drumming circle, our sound meditations, our Ploughing the Mind program that we run right here in the yurt, as well as outside in the garden as well. Yeah, Soul Haven's busy at the moment, yeah, which is always good.
Yeah, and it just sounds so peaceful. I can hear the birds in the background and the wildlife. It just seems like a very tranquil place to be. So yeah, you're very lucky to have that sort of place to enjoy yourself on a lovely week like this.
Yeah.
Thank you. Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Have a great rest of your week, and we will see you again next time for more words of wisdom, lovely recipes, and insights from the team at Soul Haven. Thank you very much, Natasha.
Thank you, Chris. Lovely to have caught up with you again.